Hi, welcome back to the Box of Lights game channel. We're playing War of the Ring. We start with the Free Peoples, and they've just retreated, if you remember from last episode, into the stronghold in Lorien. Our dice aren't particularly good for us at the moment, I don't think. But let's use an army dice, one of these army musters. We'll use it as an army dice. And I'm going to use this to play one of my event cards. And we're going to try Faramir's Rangers. While the shadow player is distracting us with a siege on Lorien, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that the army is building up in the south. Faramir's Rangers says, choose a shadow army in Osgiliath or South Ithilien or North Ithilien. Roll 3 dice and score 1 hit against this army for each die result of 5+. So let's do the first part. We're going to use Faramir's Rangers to attack a shadow army in Osgiliath or South or North Ithilien. If you remember, here's Osgiliath down here on the southeast. We've got North Ithilien, South Ithilien. There's 2 relatively large shadow armies down here. I'm gonna focus on this army here at South Ithilien, I think. And remember, that's in this little placeholder up here with 1 Nazgul leader, 1 elite, and 9 regulars. So we're going to roll 3 regular dice. And it says we must score 1 hit against this army for each result of 5+. So not quite as good as we hoped, but Shadow Player is happy with that, and he gets to decide how to take that. Remember, when we take a hit, we can either remove 1 regular or downgrade 1 elite to a regular. So I'm just going to remove 1 regular here. And this just goes back in the box as a potential recruitment. The second part says, then if there's a Free People's Army in Osgiliath, recruit 1 Gondor unit, regular or elite, and 1 Gondor leader there. So we'll most certainly take 1 Gondor elite and 1 Gondor leader and recruit them in Osgiliath. And that'll give the shadow army something else to think about. There we go, job's up. So the military campaign is kicking off a little bit here. I think the shadow army is about to turn the screw a little bit tighter on Lorien. Let's show you how a siege attack works. I'm going to grab one of these army muster dice and use it as an army. And we're going to attack the stronghold at Lorien. Here we are in Lorien. There's not a great deal of room there, so what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to grab an army token and replace those figures in the Lorien region. So let's just grab number 3 and we'll replace all these figures with this token. Now there's a token here just to remind us that the Free Peoples do actually control this stronghold right now. And we can place this army in the number 3 army box down here. So we've got 1 leader, 1 elite, and 5 regulars. I'm going to try and fight this to the death, or as far as we can anyway. So there's a couple of rules here that we might not see, but let me mention them. The defending army, they're hiding here in the stronghold. They can never retreat from this battle. Remember, at the end of each combat round you can choose to retreat if you're defending, but they're not going to. But the attacker, they can move away if they choose. Alright, so these guys in the stronghold, they can't retreat. Our besieging army can. And if they do choose to move away, then Lorien is no longer under siege. The other important thing to know is that a siege battle only lasts for 1 combat round. Okay, unlike a field battle where you can do round after round after round for as long as you wish, for a siege battle it's just 1 round. However, the attacker can extend beyond 1 round by sacrificing an elite unit. All they need to do is downgrade 1 elite unit to a regular, and then 1 additional combat round will begin. They don't have to, but they can do. So you can imagine if they've got a whole bunch of elite units here, they could potentially extend the siege battle for a number of rounds. Thematically imagine that the elite unit is kind of throwing themselves into the battle and forcing the thing on. The other thing you may be wondering, well, what's the benefit for the defender? Alright, we know that the attacker can't keep pushing the attack unless they've got elite units to throw it at the wolves. The other benefit for the defender of being in a stronghold is that attacks do not hit on a 5 or a 6, just on a 6. Okay? So we've reduced the odds of the attacker hitting on a combat roll from 1 in 3 to 1 in 6. We've made it twice as hard for the attacker to hit us. So once you hold down here in a stronghold, you know the combat's going to be short, sharp, and you're going to be tough to hit. Otherwise, the combat round is going to play out just the same as a regular field battle. So the first thing we do is ask our players, do you want to play combat cards? Starting with the attacker. If we have a quick look, we're going to choose to play one called Great Host. Remember, it's the bottom part we're looking at here. It says, after removing casualties from the combat roll and leader reroll, your army units are at least twice as many as the enemy army units, score 1 more automatic hit. And we're in that situation right now. We've got 6 units, they've only got 3. Remember, Legolas and the leader here are just single people within the greater army, once they're with an army like this. 6 is twice as many as 3, so if things stay as they are, we would get an automatic hit. Now the same opportunity goes to the Free People's player, and yeah, they're going to choose to play Daylight. And what this says is the Shadow player rolls a maximum of 3 dice during his combat roll. And that's pretty neat, because although his combat strength is 6 here, he'd be rolling the maximum of 5 dice. This Daylight's going to actually reduce it down to 3. Next step is to roll our combat dice, so that's 3 dice because of Daylight for Shadow player. Remember, they're looking for 6s. Yes, and we got 1 hit. Wonderful. Now let's roll for the Free Peoples, and they've got 3 units, so they would roll 3 dice. But they also have Legolas here. If we take a look at Legolas's card, he has this ability which says Captain of the West. If Legolas is in a battle, add 1 to the combat strength of the Free People's army. So what that means is we get to roll a 4th combat dice. And we were looking for 5s and 6s. We've got 2 hits here. Excellent. 2 hits for the Free Peoples, 1 hit for the Shadow player. So that was the combat roll. Now we get to do the leader reroll. Remember, we get to reroll any failed dice up to the number of our leadership. Shadow player has 1 leader, a leadership of just 1, so we'll get to reroll one of these 2 failed dice. And we're looking for 6s, remember. And we got a 5. Free Peoples has 1 leader, so their leadership is 1, plus Legolas. Legolas's leadership is, look at his character card again. Remember, this is his level. This number here is his leadership. Legolas's leadership is 1. So Free People's army has a leadership of 1 plus 1 is 2. And that means we get to reroll up to 2 failed dice. And we're looking for 5s and 6s. And we have another hit. That's 3 hits for the Free Peoples, 1 hit for the Shadow player. So hopefully you can see already how when the Free Peoples are hidden in a stronghold like this, they're a pretty tough nut to crack. So Free Peoples have got to take 1 hit. They're going to downgrade 1 elite unit to a regular unit. So I'll grab a regular unit from the reinforcement supply. If I had any regular units in my casualties, I could have also used one of those. one of the benefits of downgrading. You can actually reuse your casualties. But as it goes, this regular unit is going here, and this elite unit is going into the casualties. So that means the free peoples can't now recruit this elite unit again. It's gone for good. Shadow player's got to take 3 hits. So I could either remove 3 regulars and have this elite remain with the army and potentially downgrade it and continue for another combat roll, or I could just take 2 regulars and downgrade this one to a regular and finish the siege battle there. Tactically, it may not be the best decision, but I'm going to take 3 regulars because I want to show you this siege battle one more time. Unfortunately, that means our Great Host card is ineffective because we're down to 3 units. And free peoples have 3 units. We needed to keep 6 units here to have Great Host effective. So let's discard these 2 now. And we can either finish the combat here, or, like I'm going to do, downgrade this elite to a regular and throw the dice one more time. So remember, we start a combat round by checking to see if we want to play any combat cards, and I think we will. We've got 5 cards still. Let's play Onslaught. And this says, after removing casualties from the combat roll and leader reroll, I can inflict and apply up to 4 additional hits against my units, and then roll a die for each hit you inflicted, and score a hit against the enemy on each result of 4+. We're kind of throwing our guys in on a suicide mission to hopefully take out this stronghold. Free Peoples is not going to choose to play any combat cards, so let's start with the rolls. 3 dice for Shadow Player. Remember, we're hitting on a 6 only. And yes, we got 1 hit. Excellent. Free Peoples also get 3 dice, plus 1 for Legolas, so 4. Remember, hits on a 5 or a 6. Yes, get 1 hit. These ones are all misses. So it's 1 hit apiece, and we've got leader rerolls. Shadow Player has a leadership of 1, so we get to reroll 1 of these failed dice. And it's a 4, so that's a miss, so we stick with the 1 hit. And Free Peoples has a leadership of 2, so we get to reroll only 2 of these failed dice. Fives or 6s. And no, it's 2 misses. So it's 1 hit apiece. So Free Peoples will remove 1 elite, replace it with a regular. Remember, this goes to the casualties. And Shadow's player will remove 1 regular. And we can get the opportunity now to play our Onslaught. We can inflict up to 4 additional hits against our units and roll 1 die for each hit you inflicted. Score a hit against the enemy on each result of 4+. And we're going to do that. We're going to take 2 hits. Okay? And we're going to roll 2 dice. And remember, we're hitting on 4s+. That's the good thing about these event cards, you know, it doesn't make any mention of the fact whether you're in a stronghold or not in a stronghold. It makes no difference. 4+. And, right, not quite as good as I hoped, but I got 1 hit. This is not a combat roll, so there's no leadership rerolls or anything like that. This is just an event roll. So that's 1 hit against the Free Peoples and 2 hits against the Shadow Player because we rolled 2 dice. So Free Peoples loses an additional unit. That goes to the casualties. Shadow Player loses 2 regular units. They go back to the reinforcement supply. You'll notice now that the shadow player has no units left. He's just got one leader. I mean, Nazgul can exist on their own in a region, but if they're part of an army and they're part of a battle and they get defeated, the armies are all defeated, then the Nazgul is considered part of that army and he's removed from the game too. But remember, shadow players, you just go back to the reinforcement supply. If, on the other hand, the Free Peoples had lost all their units, once more leaders would get discarded and any characters that were there too, so these companions, Legolas here, they would also get eliminated from the game, and because they're Free Peoples, they're gone for good. They can't come back as recruitments. As it goes, the elven forces in Lorien have withstood the Sauron onslaught, and the siege of Lorien is relieved. The siege ends, and once more the elves are free. To wander through the forest of Lorien.